I mean, y'all didn't like when, apropos of nothing, Mace Windu just turned the camera and said, "I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi."
Like,
I
like,
laugh at that every
it's like
What?
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 It's like who said what? Wait, rewind that. What was said to provoke
What
that?
was we talking about?
Hello, welcome to Your Favorite Movie is Racist. I'm Chris,
I'm Tawny.
I'm Miles.
and we are two blacks and a Mexican here to give our non-expert opinion on, we won't bury the lead, Star Wars, the prequels. This show is really diving into not just the merits of the movies that we love, but also talking about whether they hold up in 2020. So the Star Wars prequels were George Lucas's first return, or sort of official return, to the Star Wars universe after Return of the Jedi, and really were his vision of the story of Darth Vader, how Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader. What do we love about the Star Wars prequels?
I was in college. It was exciting. Like, I think, did I have a poster on my wall? I might have had some sort of Star Wars situation happening. I identified as somebody who liked Star Wars. And so it was like, and I was on a campus full of nerds. And so it was exciting in that way. Like, it was coming. And I actually got to go. I was invited to, like, somebody bought, the person I went with who invited me had bought a couple of these, like, sort of like, advanced tickets. So I got to see it earlier than the release. They were like hundreds of dollars tickets. And it was just exciting. It was like a return to beloved and familiar material in the way that I think what I said about the original Star Wars trilogy is like familiarity, like it's comforting. It's something that we look for in movies that we love, like things that we recognize. And at the time, I think when I watched it, I don't even think I noticed, like, I don't think I was watching it for quality. It was just like I was watching it and I got all those little chill moments when my favorite characters, like when they R2D2 was on screen, or like when you sort of, there are these little nods, and it's just they're very on the nose, right? Like he was going for that specifically of making us go, something we
It's like
know.
poetry, it rhymes, is a famous
It
quote
doesn't
of
even,
his.
and it
Yeah.
yeah. And it doesn't it was okay that it wasn't, like, I wasn't trying to assess it the first time I saw it for like whether or not it was I still don't even think I watch movies like that. I think so yeah, and I enjoyed the hell out of Queen Amidala's insanely bizarre costumes, which now kind of get on my nerves, but at the time I was like, what a cool, what cool conceptual art as costume. So I guess that's what, and okay, so that's that. I'll stop there because there's other stuff I love, but I want to not hog it all.
Yeah. Like at that time, like when that like the first one came out, I think I was like 12, so I was pretty young like when those came out. So this was like marketed to me, like the Phantom Menace, and like Tawny said, I didn't really have any problems with this when I saw it because I mean, as a 12-year-old, like how critical is your opinion of like movie making? I don't even understand how they do any of it. All of this is amazing to me, like because I don't understand how they make movies in the first place. So I didn't have like that big of a gripe with like the prequels, like when they came out, specifically like Phantom Menace. I just remember all the marketing. I was just hyped because like we own, like my mom had like finally bought like the whole like, I think she may have bought like the new like re-release, like with the updates on there. Like she had just recently bought that version. So like I was just watching Star Wars anyway, so I was like super hyped for the new ones to come out, and like I dug the like the Phantom Menace, I was into it. Me, my sister, my cousin, like we were all into it. And like it was the one thing I can't say about the prequels is like there's some technical stuff with like like the lightsaber battles are the best lightsaber battles,
Mm-hmm.
period. Even better than in the new movies, which is surprising to me. Like this one came out in the Phantom Menace came out in '99. The other one was like 2002, I think, or something like that.
Oh
The
yeah.
sequel to that one. Like the lightsaber battles are crazy. Like they're reckless. Like they're like the skill. This is how I want to see, because the Jedi are like hyped up so much in like the original series. You kind of like actually get to see like, oh, this is okay. This dude is nasty. Okay, like this is
Yeah.
what they talking about, and you get to see that visually, and it helps me because like when me watching the old like the original ones, I mean the emotion is there like in the fight scenes, but the technicality behind them is basic. It's not like very impressive like what's happening. It's more like an emotional weight to what you're seeing, like a father and son, which is heavier. But man, them dudes is going crazy with the lightsabers, like in the prequels. Like it's especially like I probably say like the Darth Maul one, like
Yeah. Yeah.
And that song too, "Duel
that
of the
song
Fates."
"Duel of the Fates" is like incredible. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably one of the only songs from the prequels that I actually even like. I don't really care for much of the score that much. There's some stuff like later on that I dig too, but that one is like one of the stronger ones. And Darth Maul is, I mean, cut it out, yo, come on, for real.
Yeah.
And yo, don't sleep on Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is getting busy in that fight. Like and my cousin was the one that like pointed it out to me because I was so stuck on like Darth Maul, and he was like, dude, rewind this and watch Obi-Wan's movements. I'm like, yo, this dude is crazy too. So it like, I don't know, like it just, even Yoda, like I know people like clown the Yoda fight scene like later on.
Yeah.
I
It's
actually
exciting.
I like that. Like when I
I did
was,
too.
yeah, I thought it was dope. And obviously the Obi-Wan versus Anakin is just heartbreaking. Like it's, even though like the acting is not that great, like it's pretty one-sided. The the fight the fight is heartbreaking though. Like from like I think Ewan McGregor does a good job like of selling me on the heartbreak of like, damn dude, like I feel bad for him because he didn't want to do this. Like this is not something that he wanted to do. So I mean, there's other stuff that I don't hate the prequels. Like there's a lot of, they get a lot of bad rap. There's a lot of other stuff that I think is okay in there too. Like they do explain some stuff. I don't love all the explanations, but some of them at the time I was like, that's interesting. Okay, cool. I'll go with that. So you can't hate, you can't completely hate on the prequels, man. Like there's the battles alone are like the best, ironically.
Yeah, I'd say so. Like I think what I really love about like the prequels is kind of more in the concept than completely in the execution. Because what I and yeah, we'll continue this thread when we get into the sequel trilogy. But I love that George Lucas had a vision for the story he wanted to tell, and he had it sort of mapped out to a certain extent of what he wanted to happen and how he wanted to get there. And he tackled it like an auteur. Like that's really like rare now to see. It may not even be rare, it may be extinct to see like a massive budget go into what is essentially an independent um film series, because I mean this was his thing before Disney owned it, before a larger corporation. It was his corporation that he built from these movies, and so he was telling the story he wanted to tell. And
Mm-hmm.
part of that may have fed into why there were probably less notes, studio notes, because he didn't have to answer to anybody, right? um and so I really dig. Yeah, Ewan McGregor is great in all three of these movies. Really, like he
Mm-hmm.
just captures the spirit of what Alec Guinness was doing. Like he's believable as a young version of that character, to the point where they're bringing it back. Like people know that worked, right? And that's no small feat for him, given that like some might say that Ewan McGregor's acting kind of transcended, or that he was, he was always a good actor anyway. There's a lot of good actors that were in the prequels, but they didn't show up good. They didn't all show up good because, and that's why I think that had a lot to do with the direction. But Ewan McGregor killed it. I actually love Palpatine. Like,
Yeah.
he's so over the top.
That dude is wild extra.
He is chewing the
So
scenery,
extra.
but it's so obvious that it's a choice. He's not like accidentally, like there's some people who are accidentally kind of hammy. He's intentionally hammy, and he's like that mustache twirling kind of villain.
It works though. Like
he believes he is Palpatine. He's right now wherever he is. He has the hood on. He's Palpatine right now. Like that dude.
But with like a lot grosser forehead for whatever reason, his forehead is a little grosser.
That'll haunt your dreams, that forehead. But yeah, it's great. I mean, his performance is great, especially. I mean, if we go back to that vision of this is for kids, it's actually straddles the perfect fence between being, like over the top enough for kids to get some entertainment out of it. Because if you think about it, he's doing a lot of political dealings and like underhanded Hitlery stuff, and like that doesn't always show up in a way that's digestible for kids. But because of his whole vibe, like you just can't stop watching him, and he's great. He's actually the perfect through line to the older movies because of him playing the character in Return of the Jedi, and him being able to carry that performance through in a kind of a smooth way. Was cool. But echoing everything y'all said. The other John, the John Williams stuff in this is it's not, to me, on par with the original trilogy, but I agree. Duel of the Fates, and I actually really love Anakin and Padme's theme. I just, I
actually like that.
I won't say more.
Like
I won't say the rest of what I think because we're talking about greatness.
I'm not even mad at that. Like I dig that. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
It has an echo of Han and Leia. Like I just, I dig that.
Yeah.
That love theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also the CGI is hit or miss because it was that era, but
some of it is good.
Some of it's really hits.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not all bad. Like there's just parts of it that are a little, glossy, where you can kind of looking at it now. It's like, this
a little
is
cartoonish.
A little cartoonish. But like, I guess the one thing too that I forgot to mention is like they really like the promotion of like what is it, the Phantom Menace? Like they really was like promoting the shit out of like the pod racing thing.
Yeah.
And I will say like the pod racing shit was actually dope.
Yeah.
Like it. Yeah. Like I don't like all of the characters that he created were like overly cartoonish that he created like for that. Yeah, they was going crazy, but like the actual pod race, is dope.
It does go on for a little bit long for me. Like I start to, and maybe this is just who I am as like a movie watcher, but I zone out after like a long race. Like I do that in almost every action. That's how I know. Like I feel like the editing is really good in an action movie when I don't zone out on like a car chase. And the pod race is exciting. The sound editing is cool. That like that like motor sound.
Very dope.
Yeah. Really, it's very like doom behind me. But after a while, I'm like, what's happening? Like what lap are we on? You just sort of lose track. And I think that's kind of a theme that carries through.
I feel like that's true of real life race cars driving too.
Maybe.
Because I do the same thing.
I do the same thing. Yeah. I mean, because I agree. Like it does go on for too long. Yeah. He like repeats a lot of the same beats like during that race. I guess like the concept of the pod race is cool. Like it was a good idea, and it was done well. Like it was done well. Like I would say like maybe it's a little bit too long too. I would agree because at a certain part I'm like, all right, that's enough. Like I've seen enough of this. Like we got it. Like
I know. I don't need to see that baby Greedo. Like I don't need that. Just like I didn't need the gross female
I hate that
Greedo.
they confirmed. Didn't they
man.
confirm that that is Greedo too? I want to say they
Did
did.
they say
I
that? I
think
was
I
thinking
think
about
they
that.
That
did.
makes me viscerally
It
angry.
does. It's like
See
why
that
it didn't have to be Greedo. Make the universe
I
bigger,
mean they
not
do that.
smaller.
Well, I mean that kind of just goes to like even like Anakin. Like, why is Anakin from Tatooine? Like, like
He didn't have to be.
he didn't have to be from Tatooine. Like, he could have been from
I
anywhere.
mean,
Like,
you know what? And this goes back to Lucas's thing, though. I mean, if you think about there is some amount of like him being from Tatooine does give reason for him to return and kind of like for there to be this thing, but like there are aspects of Luke's story that make less sense because
that's what I'm saying. Like, because he's
it's
from
like
there,
you
like
would
it
never
makes it.
hide
Yeah,
if he's supposed to be
yeah.
hidden. Theoretically, you wouldn't hide him on the planet his
You gonna
father's
hide him
from.
down the
And
street from where you grew up? Like, yeah, the fuck, like,
And this
yeah.
is why, and but the like, and not to like disagree with what you were saying about his sort of singular creative vision, but like there's shit that really doesn't match between the originals and like the what Kenobi, and they it's justified. They kind of they it's gets smoothed over,
mhm.
but like he's like your father was one of the best star pilots in the original, and it's just like
He's not.
that stuff doesn't really match. Like R2D2 doesn't recognize Obi-Wan Kenobi. They don't recognize each other.
That's weird.
There's some stuff that doesn't match, and I
He
just
built CP3.
Yeah,
Like, why,
why? Like, why
why?
does
Like,
that need to be? Why wouldn't he have a British accent? Like, why would a child build a robot that sounds like Anthony Daniels? Like, is that just a standard protocol
it's
droid
like
voice?
what do butlers sound like?
Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
I
Okay.
think
yeah,
and when I say singular, I mean within the three movies,
Right.
because there are some huge gaps between the originals and the prequels. There's huge gaps within the originals. Like I feel like you know George was figuring it out while he
Yeah.
went. But with the prequels, like
Mhm.
from 1 to 3, within the context of that story, you can
Yeah.
tell he had a specific vision.
yeah.
I'd say like also the I think one of my favorite things about going back to the CGI thing is like if you look at he who shall not be named, Jar Jar Binks, and you carry that through line to General Grievous and Revenge of the Sith, you can tell that the CGI, like there was innovation happening because Grievous looks a million times better than Jar Jar did, and then Jar Jar was
Yeah.
notable for being like one of the early fully CGI characters in film, and unfortunately was horribly executed and in so many ways that we'll probably get into in the second segment. But Grievous, while his character's neither here nor there to me, like the design and the fact,
Mhm.
like I
That's a
as
dope
I'm watching, I'm
character.
like, man,
Yeah.
he looks tangible. Like he looks like you could
Mhm.
touch him. Um,
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I thought that was dope. Which again speaks to the innovation we talked about in the last episode.
I actually even like I know like Hayden Christensen like gets like destroyed like and he doesn't act well in this movie. He in either of the two movies that he's in like he doesn't. I'm not gonna
Mm-mm.
like pretend that he does. I don't hate him and even at the time and maybe because at the time like that wasn't something that I was critical of.
Yeah.
uh I can look back at it now and be like yeah yeah that don't work, but I always dug the look of him like as that character because he felt like cocky as hell to me,
Mm-hmm.
which I felt like was a characteristic that worked. And even as he went further along, like especially when you get to like Revenge of the Sith, I'm like, yeah, I kind of dig this dude. Like, I don't like his acting, but I could kind of go. I'm going with him. Like I don't think that his performance is good, but I go with him.
There's more done to build the relationship of Anakin and Obi-Wan in the first 20 minutes of Revenge of the Sith than is done in the first two movies. And it's like, what would it have looked like if you stretched that out? I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
seem like comrades at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. And there's kind of a little bit of banter, like um and it felt probably the most natural. Like Hayden
Yeah,
Christensen seemed the most natural around Ewan McGregor, which, you know, that's probably another testament to Ewan McGregor kind of having that energy that he has to
He's all, don't listen to anything George says.
he's just so playful, like, and you could tell, like,
yeah,
you could tell Ewan
yeah,
McGregor genuinely loves the character of Obi-Wan. Like, he still talks
yeah,
about it to this
definitely.
day, and it's just like he was having fun. And that
That
probably
shows.
helped the actors around him be like, okay, you know what, let me
Yeah.
relax. What's racist about the Star Wars prequels?
Okay, I'm gonna talk about one specific thing because I so appreciated the title of it. So in my little like reading sort of preparation, I came across an old piece that was actually referenced by some other pieces that I read. And the title of it is "The Merchant of Menace." Anybody encounter this? And
No.
this is about Watto being Jewish, being a Jewish character. And as somebody who like I really just completely unfamiliar with like Jewish people and Jewish Americans and Jewish culture, at the time I got a little bit more experience when I went to college and met different people, but it was like the person writing the article was like, clearly he has a Yiddish accent, and I'm like, I don't know what that sounds like.
Clearly.
Yeah, so to me he's scanned as like, again, we're in the desert. He's speaking with an accent. Like he's a dealer. He's tricky. He's sneaky. And so I didn't necessarily need him to be Jewish for me to be like, I think that's a little bit problematic. Like they're making this like little bug, like despicable, dishonest, slave owning character. They're giving him this accent. And what is that supposed to say? And I didn't read it as Jewish, but that's just my own lack of experience there. But so that's one of the obvious. I think one of the things that gets brought up a lot when we talk, and it is something that I noticed, even though that I would not have necessarily assigned the Jewish or Hebrew or whatever other. I wouldn't have assigned that identity to that character, but he did strike me as like, oh, that's an ethnic person for sure.
Yeah. I see it more now for sure. Like I mean, that wasn't apparent to me. Like obviously, like when I was 12 or whatever, like when I first saw this. But yeah, that one is like that's rough. There's quite a few though. Like in like this whole thing, like him. What do they call it? Like the vice?
The Viceroy, the Trade Federation.
The Trade Federation, yeah.
Yeah, those are that specific like
The Jedi are coming through. Yeah,
it.
Yeah,
that's
I
not.
mean, and it's.
the
I
guy with the
mean,
weird contraption on his face.
Yeah,
Turn off the ventilation
that was
shaft. Like
weird.
that guy.
Yeah,
man,
Yeah.
it's just it's like it's weird because like all the cultures are like homogenous, like and like they all like are pretty much like duplicates of the same. Like they're not even like diverse amongst each other. Like they're all the same
yeah,
person, like duplicated a bunch of times. And it's weird. Like it's I guess like there's some diversity even with like the Gungans. At least they don't all look the same, I guess, like necessarily.
yeah.
But god damn, man, the Gungans, fam, like yo, you really don't
Oof.
like black people or something. Like it's like George. Okay, we might as well just Jar Jar Binks, man, is why like I
Mhm.
just and again, listen, like in defense of like I guess of George Lucas, I do understand like he was trying to create a funny character, and I believe he said something about he had kids, and he wanted to do something much lighter with this series that it resonated with a younger audience, which is clear. It's obvious. It's clear you're trying to make like a very kiddish movie, which the original films are not very um, they're kind of an all audiences thing, I think. I mean, but these are like specifically directed at kids, so it's like I get it, but like the level of idiocy, like that you bestow upon this like character is it's so gratuitous. Like, why is he so buffoonish and stupid? Like his whole thing is just him doing stupid shit. Like he literally steps in shit like in the movie, and like that's a thing. Like, why is he like so dumb like the entire time? And then obviously the way he talks is, I
And then he
mean,
becomes a senator.
which I feel like is nepotism because he's like not qualified to be a senator. Cut it out. He's not like you did that because we didn't like him. Like, yo, like he shouldn't be a senator. Like they even like I think it's like where they're trying to like trick him into like doing something. And the second one is like,
Me
And he
well,
too.
does it.
too bad Amidala's
Right.
not here. And he's so stupid. He like, well, I guess I'm supposed to. Yeah, like what? Like, yo, get this dude out of here, man. Like they do calm him down a lot. Like he's not present. Like as you
He's not
get
even in the
further
third movie
along,
till
like,
the funeral. Yeah.
But no, yeah, he's unnecessarily cartoonish. And there's nothing like that in the I don't think there's anything. I mean, the Ewoks are cute and furry or whatever and appeal to children, but they're not cartoon characters the way he is, like complete slapstick.
But I mean, I think that speaks to like I think the Ewoks were the precursor to Jar Jar, and if you're talking 20 years later, where you've got years and years of toys and like people always talk about the Return of the Jedi was the first movie that really seemed like it was geared towards making toys, and the prequels just super doubled down on that. And unfortunately, you decided with your comedic cartoonish character to do like this racially insensitive like choice, and I don't know how much of that was Ahmed Best and how much of it was George Lucas telling him like was there a conversation where he's like do something kind of slavish or
Or
minstrelly.
it's described as
um
like a Jamaican patois. Like that's the way I saw it described in a couple of places. I don't think I honestly like I don't see anybody being like, let's do a Jamaican patois. Like I don't know exactly how it evolved. It's just as though you wanted somebody with good judgment to be like, maybe we should reconsider this approach to this character.
yeah.
yeah. I actually don't even have a problem with that if they wanted to. We've talked about it before in the last episode where I mean, there's no like black people of color just in general in this universe. I don't have an issue with you like introducing like some Caribbean like you know character that's like I have no issue with that. The problem is like you make him a complete like stereotype of I don't even know who the hell I've never met anybody like that. Like I've never met a person that acts like that at all. Like it's so cartoonish. It's so like and it's like you said slavish. Like you talking like a slave. Yeah. Like
All that is minstrelsy. I feel bad. I mean, I was reading the thing about the actor,
yeah.
and he had a really hard time, and I mean, I feel bad for him. I don't think he intended to do anything like offensive, and I feel like I mean, I'm not trying to put everything on George Lucas, but I just feel like there were so many points at which a stronger director, or
Or another person in the room that was
another,
Yeah.
that
yeah,
having some decision making power to say like nah, don't do that. It's that simple.
yeah,
Like George Lucas, any director is going to have blind spots, and his were
hmm
definitely when it comes to if you're talking about he just he had a blind spot in the originals. We talked about that, and it only compounded. I don't think George Lucas is racist, but I do think
I don't either.
I do
Yeah, I
think
don't
he has
either.
blind spots that growing up, you know, where he grew up and living the life that he lived up to that point didn't inform him of things intuitively that he should that other people would be intuitively aware of. You got Ahmed Best, like he's in a position where an unknown actor, young, trying to just he's like I'm gonna just do this thing, and he might have been like I haven't really sat out and watched the interviews or anything or seen him talk about what that part of it was. I've seen him talk about
hmm
the abuse that he's received since, but he might not have been felt comfortable speaking up if he did feel uncomfortable.
I had a while ago, like some years ago, I read, and I was reading in that one of the articles about his struggles, that like Frank Oz had his back and was like he did a great job, like he was a really good
Hmm.
performer, and I read something where it said like on set everybody sort of encouraged him and thought it was a hilarious performance. I don't know if that was because they were working with him like in a suit as opposed to you know our experience of that character. So maybe it just rang different. Um, a talented guy, I'm sure he's, it's just again like it's the blind spot thing, and it maybe I don't know. Does that go hand in hand with somebody who's able to execute sort of a singular vision? Is that maybe the weak point is that
It's too
it's a
singular.
singular vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is why it's helpful to have diversity on your, film set, because I can guarantee you if you got some people of color on the film set that are a little, maybe outspoken, might have been like, listen, this is not a good idea. Like,
Mhm.
and I heard that working on this, specifically this one, or the Phantom Menace, a lot of people were intimidated to speak up to him and tell him. He would say things and they didn't agree with it, and they would just kind of be. There's literally like behind the scenes footage where people are just kind of looking around like, yeah, this is not like, and they're just kind of afraid to say, what they want to say. They know that this is not going to work, and this is kind of George Lucas's fault in a sense, where it's like, yeah, your ego got the best of you, to where it's like, I don't know if you just couldn't take, criticism, or like, or something like,
He returns to this thing that he built to try to add more to it. And it's kind of shocking to me that there's more racially insensitive stuff in these than there are in the originals. I feel like, as a guy who, like we've said, he's not racist. He married a black woman. um and like isn't intentionally doing this, I would think. Like, how do you have this many glaring racial stereotypes peppered throughout your entire
Well, I
thing?
don't think he's like a malicious racist, but I think like, that song "Everyone's a Little Bit Racist."
Yeah,
Like we
yeah.
all have these notions, we all have notions in our head that are sort of heuristic. Did I say that right? Heuristic, like shortcuts, right? And I think it's really easy to just live in the shortcuts and not look at them especially carefully, especially if you're somebody that nobody knows how to say no to.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the treatment of cultures was, the hints were there in the original, and it just grew in this one, in these prequels. There was a black Jedi.
And yeah,
He's
there's
the least likable Jedi,
yeah.
and
I
then
was
you
waiting for him
have.
to do something super
yeah,
dope too. Like, I was just waiting, like, he's gonna be crazy, and he was.
I mean,
Yeah.
the coolest thing he did was decapitate what's his name, Jango Fett.
go fat.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, yeah, he was fine, I guess. But yeah, he's not a likable character. He's kind of the one who's kind of, and they really doubled down on that in the Clone Wars. But he's very, I don't like the kid, which he's right. They shouldn't. They shouldn't have trained Anakin. He was right, but they present him as this sort of, you know, jerk, and that wasn't cool. But I don't think that was necessarily tied to race or anything like that. It was like, you cast Samuel Jackson, you're gonna have him play a dude with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, I guess. But
I actually think that, yeah, I don't think that was tied to like, oh, he's black, so he's going to be against it
right,
or anything like that. And actually, I
Nah.
almost sort of appreciate that. Like, I appreciate that they made him like. I appreciate that he was kind of a jerk, but like I agree with Miles. I wanted him to do something fucking cool. His name's Mace Windu, for fuck's sake. He's got a purple lightsaber,
Yes.
and he
Yes.
mostly didn't do anything that was very cool.
Yeah.
it was like they try. I mean, their attempt at that was him. Is that saber fight with Palpatine, and that
Yeah,
was just weirdly like executed to
Yeah. It
where
looked strange. It didn't even
it
like.
didn't look cool.
again,
Yeah,
not well directed. Like they didn't use him for what like they if they're gonna if Samuel L. Jackson's gonna be in your movie, like make the most of that. Like Don't give him these wooden lines to read and have him turn and be like,
That's
"I'm going to say my line."
but
This is
that's literally every character.
Yeah, that is
So,
pretty much like
bummer.
I don't even get like some of
yeah.
the like line deliveries of just different stuff like that people do and I guess again that's probably direction, but I mean I was as him being like the cool, he's got the purple lightsaber, he's cool. I just expected him to, and I guess it is better that they didn't do like what they did with Christopher Lee where they just like animated the hell out of his fight scenes. Like
Same
I
with
guess
Palpatine though.
yeah,
They
with
did that with him
Palpatine
too.
too. Yeah, they some of the anim
Um, it
doing like
looked
spinning
weird.
across the room. It just looked crazy. Like,
Yeah, it looked
but
weird.
yeah.
I mean,
So
y'all didn't like when apropos of nothing, Mace Windu just turned to camera and said, "I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi."
Yes,
right,
I
like
laugh at that every single
it's like
What?
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 It's like who said what? Wait, rewind that. What was said to provoke
What was
that?
we talking about?
It's so weird.
Every single time. What?
I also like the unnecessary sass of like Django Fat to Obi-Wan. He's like, you guys got a real nice, this is a nice army you guys got. He's like, well, I'm just a man trying to do what I can in the universe. Like, whoa, whoa, like what's up with all the sass, my dude? Like, yo,
Hey
I'm
man,
trying to
I'm just out here. I'm trying to get like you. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I guess if you want to come into my house and talk about what they got, like, whoa, hey, relax, bro.
So how do we rate the prequels?
In terms of, I mean, whether or not they're egregiously racist, I mean, not, they don't, it doesn't bother, it's almost so goofy and so much a product of like blind spots, and it doesn't feel malicious that it doesn't bother me too much. But I'm not, I don't really ever feel the need to watch these movies except for like, I think I've shown them to my boys, or like I rewatched them recently, and mostly I was kind of laughing at stuff, and there's sort of even a nostalgia for me at this point because again, it was like my college years when these started to come out. But I don't feel like the racism or the sort of Lucas blind spot, non malicious racism doesn't bother me that much. So I guess that's where I don't know if I mean these are part of a classic franchise, and they have they're I'm never gonna be like those movies didn't exist or didn't happen. Like that's not ever how I feel. Um, and I think I've never been like an angry Star Wars fan. I mostly am pretty good at like not getting super worked up about it and just like it's fun to laugh about it and to clown on it with you guys, but overall I'm not like I don't have super strong feelings. I never did about these movies.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat where like I am a fan of this. Like I don't get overly upset about it. I love talking about like how ridiculous some of this stuff is and how it doesn't work, but the stuff that's like offensive to me, like I feel like if you like Star Wars and you've watched, I feel like as much as these are bagged on, they're kind of necessary in some sort of way. Like as far as like I like
What's it called?
building.
Completionism? Being a completionist?
Yeah, like if you watch the original ones, you may not like all the answers that you get, but you get answers for a lot of stuff in the prequels that it's like, yeah, you might not like all of these, but you're gonna get some answers, like, and they might not all be satisfying, but you're gonna get them. And that's kind of what the prequels are. They like you said, like I don't get overly upset because Star Wars has never been high art to me. It's entertaining as hell. It's not high art to me. It's just not. So it's hard for me to take it extremely serious. Like so, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, there is sort of this goofy quality to even the stuff that I feel like is racist as hell. It's
Yeah.
silly. Like it's almost like you clearly don't even know that you being racist. This is so dumb. Like you are uncertain that you even being offensive right here. It's so stupid. I'm actually I give the prequels a pass, man. Like
Yeah.
it ain't that bad. Like relax, Star Wars fans. Like it ain't that bad. There's worse movies.
Yeah. No, I agree with both of y'all. I mean, I probably enjoy the prequels more than y'all do, but I don't revisit them that often. My kids like them. I think at least Revenge of the Sith, my kids really like. In fact, when we were rewatching them, uh, my oldest son was kind of checking in and out. Like he'd like duck down and be like, oh, okay, and then go get on the phone with his friend or whatever. And then yeah, and then when we were watching Revenge of the Sith, he was like, oh, this is the good one, and he hopped on the couch and watched the whole thing. And so like, there's definitely, I think, Revenge of the Sith is the most actiony. There's the most going on story wise in that one. And so there's some stuff to enjoy. And for me, like, I mean, it's racist, but and I've been able to acknowledge that, but I've never been fully offended by it, just in the sense that, again, it's like, it's been parodied, and it's like, it's such a joke that it's like everybody knows that was terrible. Those were terrible choices. And it's like, all right, yeah, okay. And you move past it. And the prequels brought we wouldn't have the Clone Wars if not for the prequels, and I actually like the Clone Wars more than most Star Wars things. So yeah, I mean, I'll revisit them surely. I'll probably revisit them less when my kids are grown. And I'll probably watch them again whenever another Star Wars movie comes out, because I always end up watching all the other ones first. So yeah, it gets a pass for me too. But one of these at George. Come on, buddy. Don't do that. Somebody should have told you that then, so we'll tell you that now. Don't do
better.
that.
Do better, George. Well, I guess he sold George. It, so I mean, I guess that was the best thing for it. Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Speaking of which, next week we are going to talk about the Star Wars sequel trilogy, episodes 7, 8, and 9. What are your thoughts on the prequels? Do you like the prequels? Do you think they're racist? Do you like them but think they're racist? Let us know in the comments. This was a really fun. I think this is one of our most fun episodes, to be honest. Just talking about these movies. If you're new to this series, go back and watch our other episodes. We dive into a wide range of genres of movies, and some of those movies we kind of had to walk away from. So it's not all movies get a pass like the prequels did. So please continue to watch this series, continue to follow us, and follow us on Spotify, follow us on wherever podcasts are found. And we'll see you next time.